Right, so on to game 5 of HLE versus T1. So T1 were actually 2-0 up, and HLE have brought this back. Lee Sin, Camille Ban, that's standard for the side of T1. Rise and Jace. Now T1 are now on red side, so we're going to see how they variate their draft based on being on the right side. They did still ban the Rise on the side of HLE, so they don't even want to play it B1, so this will be interesting to see what they choose. If they choose something like the Xin Zhao here, then I think they're going to completely stomp this game because T1 will respond with Viego, and the Xin Zhao matchup, it's good for Viego early, so when you've got somebody like Chovy in mid lane, it's huge. They might also, so Aurelia has been banned for them actually, so Xin and Viego still available. Kennen is up, but they're not going to draft that bad, I don't think. Okay, so there we go. The Viego's instantly picked. So the side of T1, if they respond with Azir and Xin Zhao, then this could be a good draft. Or maybe they will let the Azir... Nah, there's no way they let the Azir go. They did take the Kennen and the Xin Zhao. I think that's another big mistake. Like Aurelia's banned, but actually I guess Camille's banned as well. So Renekton into Kennen. Kennen just wins that matchup. So this is really bad if they choose it. But I mean, T1 have been banning it for quite a while. So maybe this is the point where HLE grief their draft. So the Renekton's been picked up. Now, they're not going to pick for Chovy because I think Chovy will want the counter. So, yeah, Varus in here. Again, very dynamic about what he can do. He'll go poke, but either way, Deft is basically Varus duty. So right now, I think they could just take a Phelios here to avoid it getting banned. And then in R4, they could take a Thresh or a Braum, whichever doesn't get banned. Now, it is risky because if HLE do decide to double ban, though, then that's a bit risky. I mean, the Azir does come through, which isn't really a big surprise, but now what they should do is ban things away from that will make the Azir's life hard. So the Sylas and the Orianna should be T1's bans now. So they ban the Kalista for the side of HLE. They just need to ban away the Orianna now, and they're actually in a good position. Banning the Rakan, I don't think that's as good, especially considering how dominant Chovy has shown himself in this series on the Orianna into the Azir matchup. But from the side of HLE, they'll probably ban something like Ezreal maybe, or the Ashe, just because Ashe can actually have pretty good time into Varus since their range is so similar besides his arrow. But with Ashe, you can rush tier 2 boots anyway, so it allows you to dodge his arrows much easier, which means it's way harder for him to do it. So here we'll probably see, I hope to see a Phelios come through. Or, I mean, I guess Leona's okay too, but they could have left Leona, let HLE take it, and then gone Trundle instead. So I don't like that they've gone it there. They're going to go with the Braum to go with a Varus, which is a very good pick. And it also counters a lot of what T1 want. Now, the thing with the Braum there, though, is the timing to manage to get Azir with your ultimate as he's going in is very, very rough to land. So they'll probably just go with the Orianna matchup, like we already said, due to the fact that Chovy's very comfortable on this matchup anyway. And has performed well, so I think banning Orianna instead of Rakan there would have been important because I don't think this is a star player. Like, Chovy is their carry, so they should have targeted him way more in this draft. Like, they've spread themselves way too thin with their bans instead of just targeting one person. So here Alistair, okay. I mean, it's okay, since if Leona goes E level 1 like she has been in these games, Alistair can just take Q level 1 and just knock her up. The Vayne pick, though, that, I mean, it could be good, but since they do have quite a beefy front line, so I think the Vayne is actually really good here, or they go with the Jinx, but I don't think so. Aphelios is also good. I mean, I thought they would have taken Aphelios in R4 instead, but this is actually a much better comp because they've still got this Ken and Azir, but again, they've got a massive AD threat. So I actually think that T1, having taken an actual ADC in this game instead of griefing, I actually think they might win. I actually preferred their draft. I think if Chovy doesn't get a massive advantage over Faker, then I think T1 will win. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't know how LCK works. I'm not sure if T1 won this to get into groups of worlds. I'm not too sure. Maybe actually. I don't know. Either way, I do think the draft is better this one. So, solid drafting though. The fact that they, you know, potentially gave over. Okay, so let's just skip to the game. So, nothing really crazy happening. I mean, so the Viego here on the side of HLE has to start bot lane. So, he has to start this red buff. Purely because there's an Alistar at level 1. So there's no way that they get priority in the bot lane, especially against an Aphelios. So the Viego should be starting red. He's probably just put in a invade ward down here just so that he can see if the Xin Zhao decides to path in. What he should have done though is started his recall, put his ward, got sweeper, and then gone to red. But he's going to start the blue buff. I think this is very questionable. Very, very questionable. So the thing is, you have a Renekton top, right, which we've discussed this multiple times. One of the reasons why Renekton is picked so much and has such a high priority is because he has a gap closer and a point-and-click CC ability. Now what this does is this allows junglers to come up into top lane and actually get like a lot of kills off it, which if you're playing Viego, that's what you want. Now the other thing with this too is now he's pathing into bot, which means the Alistar is going to get pushed in due to the fact that he, you know, is he's useless at level 1. So now what's going to happen is they get pushed in bot, Viego comes down and he can't really get this crab anyway. What Xin can do is he can take this camp, this camp, this camp, and then he can take this and this, and then he already knows where the Viego is pathing, so from his red then he just paths down like this and just fights the Viego on this crab, considering the Aphelios and the Leona will have priority. Now this is really bad because it means that Viego then can't get this crab, and then what Xin will do is he'll transitional gank through mid lane into the second crab. So he's actually going to get double crabbed here for no good reason, because he's trying to avoid a Xin Zhao when Xin Zhao doesn't, like, he can change his pathing in order to get a fight on that Scuttle Crab. So that's what we're going to see happen in the next few minutes. So Kana's got this wave in a very good position right now. Xin Zhao is gonna... I mean, sorry, Viego is... No, Xin Zhao's got to come and break the free. Sorry, I meant Morgan had the wave in a good spot. Now, Kennen can actually push this in quite safely, actually. But, again, so Viego has shown on bot. He went for Gamayusi. He didn't manage to get his flash. The owner is still under the tower, though. He's not going to be able to kill him under that tower. They're just going to wait now. They have a ward in Tribush anyway, so they know when it's safe for Gamayusi to walk back. But, like, I don't know. I think the Xin Zhao is kind of grief what he's gone for here. He had the opportunity to get double scuttle very easily, so I'm not sure if this is... We've seen this before where Warner, he doesn't really seem to be tracking the enemy jungler anywhere near as much as he should. So, very, very interesting. Okay, so the Renekton just instantly jumps on top of the Xin, and this is kind of the reason you take this Renekton, like we previously said as well, that gap close into the point and click CC, it's why you play around this champion. So it's kind of like it's not necessarily a champion that you take in order to be like a big kind of win lane every game. That's kind of the argument with it, and I know there's a lot of discussion in kind of like the pro league community about if Renekton is good or bad or not, but I think he's good and bad at the same time, to be honest. He's just one of the only champions that has that unique factor in his kit of gap close and CC that can also be very tanky in a game as well. Obviously, you do have stuff like Camille and who is a better option, but you also have things like Riven and that too. But you know, people don't really play Riven, especially at a pro level. But she can also kind of do the same thing as well, especially if you got CC in your jungle as well. So this is a really, really good fight on bot lane for HLE. Like, they will die here though. Well, I mean, Aphelios will. So actually Xin Zhao ended up getting 2 kills, and then the Varus gets caught as well. Will he die? I don't think so. So nice TP from Faker coming in to kind of offset that team fight and kind of change it. Chovy decided not to TP though, which is very interesting because he actually didn't TP and instead took a tempo advantage, pushing that wave into mid. So here we will actually get a first person view, because here we can see E over the wall and then flash QW. He could have also just flash W'd, but either way, it's completely fine. And then we see this bot fight. So HLE get a really, really good engage onto Gamayusi. They do pop him out a massive amount, and he does die almost instantly, which is good for them. But then Faker comes in with a TP. Chovy decides not to, even though you know, there's no level 6s yet. Actually, Faker is level 6. I'm not sure what level Chovy is in this position, but Deft is continuing doing damage, to be fair, since he knows most of their abilities are on cooldown. But I mean, Orianna did have... Oh, she didn't actually have her ultimate available. She had used it inside the laning phase, which is why she didn't TP. So I actually think that's a really, really good decision from the side of Chovy not to do that. So now we can see Morgan coming back into lane. This is pulling into him though, so he doesn't really need to walk up this far. It's a big grief from him, since this wave is going to come back anyway, and he's just walking up and allowing the cannon to do damage. So what is this? His wave management from Renekton is completely tilting me. Like, he's not going to be able to freeze this wave anyway against Kennen because he gets harassed too hard. So why is he actually looking for this when his jungler isn't here whatsoever? It's just complete grief. Allow the wave to come back into you and then just basically let it bounce off the tower if you need to, and then gain your own slow push. So this is one of the kind of the fundamental things to top lane, is that you always play around these slow pushes. So the fact that some laners are still trimming off waves when there's no reason to is incredibly grief. So just all around, it's just bad. So HLE will go for the Rift Herald here. But I mean, Xin Zhao's having an okay game. I mean, he did end up dying for that first blood, but he has made it back. He has 2 kills now. I feel like since T1 have been blue side this entire time, it's confusing seeing them on red side now. Faker completely face checking a bush. Okay, Carrier does manage to get on top of Viego though. Alistair is here. That was an amazing ultimate from the Def though. Carrier does manage to get his ult on Def, complete wasted. Complete waste. So these patterns in players, like Carrier for example, just loves when he gets to Leona just using his ultimate when his team are not in a good position to go. So these are the things that you can abuse. If you're, say, a player at Worlds, like, what you can do is you can stand in a position where you know he's going to use his ultimate and then use your mobility in order to get away from it. And then, you know, you've got that big CC ability out, or that ultimate ability from Leona, and then when your team get there, you can engage as 5 and play it like that. So these are things that can be abused, and there are tendencies in these players that the pro teams will be looking for right now. So, you know, I mean, I'm doing this for fun, but pro teams right now will be literally doing this exact same thing, looking for any of these inconsistencies with players that they can look to abuse on the world stage. So this is partly why it's so fun, because it's like, what can I find in these players that can potentially be abused? And then we'll see in the actual Worlds games if these specific things do get abused by enemy teams against these players. So we do see a flank TP coming in from the back for Chovy. He is going to run Canna down. He manages to get his flash, but he's just way too fast, and perfect play by Chovy to pick Canna out here. But the only thing is, now they've kind of given away this dragon since Chovy is in this top lane. They are going to potentially look to dive bot, though. This is really bad. I mean, they are going to get some plates off this tower in response, but they should have been instantly looking towards this dragon, just because, I mean, Ocean is nice as a single dragon anyway. It's a lot of regen, which will help, especially inside of the laning phase, but it's just bad. Like, they were trying to force the turret instead to get the gold. I mean, they use Herald to pop it, but now they're not going to be able to get the dragon. I think, like, Faker there should have probably just gone and started soloing dragoning, do it pretty easily. And that would have just increased the overall advantage that they would have got off this play off Chovy using his TP aggressively top lane for a solo kill that was never really going to turn into an objective. So again, Chovy did get that gold spike, but at what cost? I mean, he didn't actually get the kill, the Viego did, and like, Willer has not been playing very well in this series. I mean, he did get ahead, well, not ahead, but I mean, he did manage to snowball off Chovy in one of those games, but will he try and do that again? So here we can see he kind of uses his flash. Chovy does E back to him so that he can W himself, so that he can get in range to QR the cannon. So that's a really, really good, just a clean, I mean, it's not necessarily a difficult mechanical kind of play on Orianna, but it's just nice to see, you know. It's just very clean, and it reminds you how nice Orianna's kit is all round, to be honest. So right here we do see Chovy just starting to move first in this situation, and Xin Zhao did get caught again with the Alistar there as well to lock him up. We do see a TP come in from Canna. This could potentially go well for T1 if Canna manages to get in here and use his ultimate, but he gets instantly CC'd. Nice Orianna ult to get the support. But again, there we go, the Kennon's ult is in, and Gummy you see is on the background doing a massive amount of damage, but Renekton does come in and he is going to CC him down, and this is potentially going to turn into a teamfight win for HLE if they manage to get more. They managed to get 3 for 2 right now. If they just back out, then this is an advantage for them. So pretty good for the side of HLE. Now we will see if T1 go and instantly rush this dragon. They probably will, since they know that there's no TPs from the side of HLE now, and they had to back because they were so low. So they probably will secure this dragon. That does not make up for the goal that they get off that extra person though. Xin Zhao completely out of position, and the entire team have to come and help him. We see Canna coming in with a TP here, but Deft from the side instantly ults perfectly from that TP. And that actually stops Canna getting in the fight entirely, so super crucial from Deft to do that. And then we see the carry does get locked up, the Alistar does go back in, does get locked up by the Kennen ult though. The Aphelios does flash over to get the Alistar and try and space away from the Renekton, but Renekton just does so much damage and gets on top of him. We can see the Wanner in the backline trying to kill Deft away, but he just can't due to the range advantage that Deft does have. So all round, that was a super clean team fight from Deft, and very, very good to see. So that ult to kind of catch him on the TP was absolutely perfect. So there is still a gold lead all round for the side of T1. But the Viego has a massive amount of kills, and Chovy is huge in this game as well. Faker is also massive too. Chovy doesn't quite have his mythic yet though, because he's got his tier, his blasting one, and his tier 2 boots instantly. Faker does have the advantage of having a stopwatch though. I'm not sure if he had that in his runes or not. Maybe he did. But either way. We do see them in this top side of the map. They are going to potentially look to just get this Herald so that they can break tier 1 mid easier, or they might still just use it to break tier 1 in top lane. I think tier 1 in top lane is much easier to deal with, and tier 1 in mid should be a higher priority, especially considering it's a second Herald. So we see Wanna jump on top of this Herald now. They're just doing as much damage as they can. Now, we do see the side of HLE. They are somewhat looking like they do want to come and contest this. Are they going to be too slow, though? So Alistair is actually on top of it, and now they are potentially going to look for a fight. Gamer manages to get a good ult off here, but he's way too far back. He's really not paying attention. He just wanted to focus on getting the Rift Herald and then leaving. So we do see Xin Zhao get that. He moves back. Amazing. Like, nice to see. All around, they do get that Herald. Let's see how they use it. I think my prediction is that they're going to use it to break this tier 1 in mid lane. Xin Zhao did get it. So he is pretty strong this game. Xin Zhao is pretty big. Oops. That was an accident. So here we do see Keria get chunked out quite heavily by a Varus arrow. But, you know, they're just going to play to continue scaling the Leona and Xin reset together. This wave gets pushed in. Aphelios is going to reset now. So now we'll probably see the lanes. Faker will go into a side lane and start pushing that, and Aphelios will come into mid. That's what I'd like to see, since mid is a much safer lane for Aphelios to be in, and then he can rotate into side lanes much easier with his team. In side lanes here, there's way too many opportunities for them to kill, and they could be in any of these bushes right now, and he gets popped. But it's fine. The Leona and the Xin actually move just in case that did happen. We do get another kind of engage from the Alistair on the Leona. She is getting beaten up like crazy. She does use her ultimate on Deft, but he instantly uses his cleanse in order to get away from it. Doesn't manage to follow up. There is a nice little ward tucked away back there though for the side of T1, so they actually know who's at that fight. So vision control is actually pretty good from Keria. I mean, Keria is an incredibly talented support in my opinion. So Kana is looking to push this. Renekton might look to jump on him here. No, he can't. So instant CC from the side of Kennen. The little lightning rat is very strong, I'm telling you. So here, yeah, like we predicted, they're just going to use that Herald just to crack tier 1 mid. Azir's ult instantly goes down, means that, you know, they're going to take a lot of damage if they try and walk up now. So this area is kind of off limits. It allows them to get a really easy reset off. They can reset, and now they can use this tempo to come and try and get the dragon, which is going to be an infernal. Which means, you know, there is a risk that it is going to be a Cloud Soul. So, I mean, we should see. I mean, all round, I mean, both teams playing incredibly well this game. Nobody's really kind of clearly inting anything. But, you know, we will see what happens here. So Faker does manage to get a little bit of poke off onto the Alistair. Nothing too big, to be honest. Faker does actually get poked out by the Varus Q. So Cannon's already kind of in position, but the Renekton did spot him, I'm fairly certain. But they are going to look to potentially get this dragon now, considering that, you know, they don't really want to give them over to HLE. HLE, Chovy coming in and just clearing mid lane now. Gamer on the response just to clear that out. So it's Deft and Gamer right now, just wave clearing constantly. Deft does get the move first though. Will we see Vista actually try and utilize this extra few seconds that it took Gamer to get here? They will not. I mean, he does have Graviton and Chakrams right now, so we may be seeing ultimate to CC them here. From the side of Aphelios. So we do see it. Chovy does get CC'd and they're just going to go nuts. But Wanna does get poked out. They do manage to get the dragon away. Faker does manage to get a nice shuffle, but Willa just instantly gets out. Now Morgan is potentially going to die, but an amazing ultimate from Chovy. Doesn't really matter too much because they instantly stopwatch. But Varus with a really big Q damage manages to kill Azir off and almost kills off Canna as well. So they do manage to get a return kill on the Viego. He plays a little bit too aggressive. Gummy, you see, still full HP. He barely got touched in this team fight, and this is one of the reasons why T1 actually managed to get so much done there, because he was just outputting so much damage. Now he will have his collector in base, so I would like to see him push this wave out and then reset, come back out, get the red buff, and then they look to team fight again. So this wave isn't going to push in, but if he walks up, then he's going to be basically potentially jumped on. He will be able to clear this cannon away there. We will see this fight again. So there was so much going on in this fight. So we actually see that they start rushing down the dragon, but Viego actually manages to steal the dragon away with his smite. Leona does get jumped on by the Alistair, but still, Morgan in the backline does get chunked out very heavily, but a nice shuffle from the Azir to get Viego away. He does manage to get out though, and then an amazing shockwave by the Orianna. They do double Zhonya's, but the Varus does manage to basically kill Faker just with a Q due to the fact that he is lethality. Keria does just jump into his death for some unknown reason. I have no idea. Kennen is trying to recall in this brush, but they do actually change the way they fight, and Kennen does come back in. And, you know, he tries to get Chovy here with a Q over the wall, but he doesn't manage to land it, so he just instantly leaves. So nice control play. I mean, they did get quite a lot out of that. Unfortunately, HLE did steal away the Infernal, but it doesn't really matter as much because of the Cloud Soul. So Keria does manage to get a pick on Death, but a really nice ultimate means that Keria is on his own and is going to instantly die to this Viego. So again, Death performing out of his mind this game, doing his job perfectly. Now Viego jumps in with the Leona EQ and manages to then get Viego Xin Zhao and jump too. Canna does use his ultimate, and Morgan tries to zone them away again. Aphelios not really taking any damage. He has used his ultimate though. Alistair manages to get a nice knock up. An amazing shuffle out of Faker. This game is still not over. Faker and Aphelios just going nuts. They're playing so well this one. Unfortunately, Deft is also playing out of his mind, and this one of the interactions with the Leona Varus matchup. Does Faker does manage to get Chovy actually, and he does manage to finish Chovy off as well, which is really, really good for the side of T1, giving them roughly about 2,000 gold lead now. Now, this one of the things with the Leona and Varus interaction is if Leona jumps on top of your team to try and do damage, if Varus ults her team, they're all going to get locked up, and then you instantly kill a Leona because of the time that it takes. That or you can also use, say, things like Trundle and then just ult her when she jumps in, but he doesn't provide as much space, even though he can pillar between them. So that's why that's also a very good matchup. But so they are just trying to rush the Baron, and they will be able to get it way before HLE managed to respond. Viego does get caught, but he does blast going over. He is going to end up dying here, but the more time he can waste of Baron, the better. He's going to try and clear this wave as well and just proxy it a little bit and just, you know, try and do something. And Faker's just going to take this camp. He's literally not worried whatsoever about what might happen here. Kanna picks it up. Faker gets the assist anyway and the camp. Huge gold shift for T1, so again, this is the thing, when T1 choose an actual ADC, Gumma, Yusi, and Teddy do so much in these fights, but as we can see here, an amazing zone from Deft. Now, you know, Keria just instantly dies here because of it, but, you know, they do still manage to do massive amounts. Alistair does knock Xin Zhao back, but there's a TP coming in from behind from Morgan, but they just don't really manage to get on top of Gummy Yusi. He manages to use his flash to get to safety, and now Morgan's just taking way too much damage. Dark Blue and Red Gun means Aphelios is healing by so much in these fights, and it just turns very, very favoured for the side of T1 due to the fact that they invested so much on this Leona and the Viego instead of investing more onto the Aphelios. Now, we can see here this was an amazing ult from the Kennen though, just to kind of lock up this area, but Alistair goes in, instantly dies because he just doesn't have enough HP to do anything. I don't have a clue what's going on with this replay, but an amazing shuffle from Faker to completely change this fight, and, you know, it becomes very in favour for T1 now, considering this was basically a 3v5 fight. Now, if they can basically win those fights in a 3v5 situation, as long as Kyria and Wanna stop inting, it should be completely fine. So Kennen just pushing out this wave. They do have Baron buff now, and the Dragon is available. I mean, they're not really going to look to go for Dragon when they have Baron buff anyway. That'd be completely grief, but even with I mean, Xin Zhao goes to do it alone. That's completely fine. Keria is actually going to go and just support him a little bit, which he doesn't really need it. Unfortunately, pop the blast cone there, which does reveal any vision, but it also shows them that they're doing it. They're not really in a position to contest here, but it's still very, very interesting that she chose to pop that Scrya's Bloom there. So a little bit rough, but so we can see now that Aphelios is just so strong that it's going to be very hard for the side of HLE to do much. Now, Varus is playing incredibly well, and they're all very, very strong. Chovy literally nearly has 100% KP, all in assists, which is very, very sad to see. But You know, it's Orianna is kind of a more of a supportive mid in some situations because, you know, she has so much CC and shielding that she can still function very well as kind of like a more supportive champion rather than soaking up all that gold. Now, Viego does have a lot of gold and he does have his wits end now, which again is going to do a lot against penetration that's coming from the Azir and the Kennen from the side of T1, but overall, I think it's not going to really matter as much this game because they can't really just build MR and kind of pop off from that due to the fact that on the side of T1 they have Aphelios who is a massive amount of AD threat. So the Collector I don't mind as much in this game actually due to the fact that he is that massive AD damage. Now Xin Zhao is going to do a lot, but Xin Zhao's job is just going to be a massive disruptor in this game. He needs to get on Xin Zhao and maybe even just pop his ultimate so that he can respond with his ult and then they can potentially look to engage with the Leona. So I think that's one thing they need to do. I think Death's ultimates this game have been absolutely amazing and it's been one of the main reasons that they've been winning these fights over and over. He actually has about 80% KP as well, so as an ADC that's huge. So it just goes to show the fact that they've played such a controlled game. Both of these teams looking very, very strong going into Worlds. I mean, I think I very much favour T1 due to the fact that Han will life. You know, they just haven't really, they haven't got the rest of the team that Chovy needs in order to 1v9 and win Worlds, I don't think. I do think they can potentially be good, especially if they get a draft diff, but I think if they lose in draft, it's going to be very hard for Chovy to actually win the game, even though this guy is insane. Like, honestly, Chovy is an incredibly talented mid laner. So, they do potentially manage to catch Faker here. The Faker ult comes out, but Orianna's ult does catch him, so they are pushing bot lane though as two, whilst also pushing mid. So they did just invest so much into Faker right now that they can potentially just crack both of these inhib towers, which is going to be really big. You never really want to get the inhib this early because they're not really in a position that they can just end the game out with those inhibs. I mean, I say early, it's 27 minutes, but they're not in a position they can end the game with those inhibs. So here we can see Faker does get popped, but this also allows them to just get so much push on this bot lane. You know, Faker's completely doomed here. There's not that much he can do. He does use his ultimate to try and get space, but Orianna's Q is longer than the Azir ultimate, so she does still manage to get her shockwave off there. Now, Gummy UC is alone in mid lane, but he is on red-white, so he can survive for a very long amount of time. He's on red-white, so they will be looking to fight. Faker does manage to use his E to get away here. Aphelios is getting chased down by this Alistar. I think he needs to kind of instantly... okay, so he didn't even need to flash there because Cannon was available to flash over and help him instantly. The side of T1 are just being completely disrupted. They do manage to kill Chovy, and this is going to be the game. T1 managed to win this. Like, I really think there should have been 3-0 to T1, but they were way too busy fucking about with shit ADCs, but... all round, this is going to be the end now. They're just going to push this out, and then Faker is going to TP back on one of the minions so that it becomes invulnerable against both of the towers, and they're just going to look to end the game out with this. They don't want the minions to spread out, so that both towers target one minion, so that's why they're trying to push it down as much as possible right now. And yeah, so they're still continuing the fight. Faker actually TP'd in way earlier, and I think he should have saved it for this tower, but it really doesn't matter. Gamer Sensei on an actual ADC. Who would have thought that, you know, ADCs can be broken when you're really fucking good? But there we go. 3-2 to the side of T1. This was so difficult for them. Like, holy. They grief draft so hard. Like, if they're not upset with their coach after what happened in those third and fourth games, then I'd be very intrigued. But there we go. That is it. I am going to call it a night there for you guys watching on Twitch. Hello. Thanks for watching again tomorrow. Yes, let's go. And for anybody on YouTube, obviously, drop a sub. You know you want it. You know you want it. If anybody is watching, is anybody out there? Probably not. So I'll end that recording now.